is the Mclaren 570S Spider, and we're here at McLaren of San Francisco, who has graciously provided us this yellow 570S Spider. So this is what we think is the best supercar that you can buy for under $200,000. And let's talk about why. So it runs a twin-turbo V8, and it's just under 3,000 pounds, which means that it provides plenty of power and a power-to-weight ratio. It's got 562 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque. Now you may think that the power is a little low for a car at $200,000, but since the weight is so low, it works just perfectly. And if you compare it to like a Lamborghini Huracan, which is way heavier and provides a little bit more horsepower, it's a better car than that. And let's talk about why. So let's first go to the exterior quirks and let's see what's so cool about this car, and then let's get a cold start up. Like his right to move in McLaren. Alright, so now we are inside the McLaren 570S Spider, and I just want to start with like the very obvious thing, which is that they've done a lot of stuff for weight saving in this car. Now, if you just look around, like you can see it's a very stripped down car, which it's still luxurious because, you know, it's an expensive car, but it also like doesn't have stuff because it needs to be light for the track. So we can start with like the speakers over here. They've got Kevlar inside for lightweight stuff, and then also like the cup holders, they're pretty small, and it's all like surrounded with carbon fiber because, well, carbon fiber is light. Up here on the dash, it's all carbon fiber. The steering wheel, the paddles, it's all carbon fiber, and we've got the Alcantara on the steering wheel, the dashboard.
I really love the Alcantara everywhere. I love this material, like the faux suede. It's perfect. I love it. Yeah, and on the seats, I think that the seats are really gorgeous. Like we've got this nice stripe down the middle with some sort of material that's perforated, which also looks really nice. Yeah, way better than leather seats that are like not perforated, and it just gets way too hot when you don't want it to be hot, or way too cold when it's, you know, cold. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be in the car for a while if you're on the track. I don't want to get out of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't want to, because it's a really nice car.
You know, one other thing I want to point out is when you mentioned weight savings, they really inspired you to take some weight savings, so you can't really bring anything into this car. I mean, they kind of decided to have, all right, maybe you can carry an owner's manual with these little pockets over here, and you got one more back here. But besides that, you're kind of out of luck, minus the frunk.
Yeah, and you've got no glove box, so...
Yeah, good luck. I mean, let's hope... Well, I mean, it's not like you're going to get pulled over and need to get your registration out.
That's true. Actually, that reminds me of a clip from another YouTube video that I saw where the guy got pulled over, and he didn't have any of his documentation with him, so... Just remember to keep your documentation, but you got to find a spot to keep it.
Unless you're about that sick weight savings.
That's true. And talking about other stuff in this car, like up here at the steering wheel, something that's very signature for McLaren is the lever shifters. So you can basically shift up and down from each side. Like you can pull it forward to shift up on the right side, you can push it back to shift down, and the same on the other side because it mimics on either side, which is really cool, and also it's pretty efficient. However, the paddles are mounted on the steering wheel itself, which is questionable. I'd prefer them on the stock so that they stay there and you always know where they are. But, I mean, it always works either way because the paddles are gigantic, so you really do know where they are.
You can really see the F1 inspiration in the steering wheel based on McLaren's F1 heritage. So this definitely gives me like some vibes from their race cars of previous days, which I think they're definitely trying to invoke, which I really like.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, actually, I do see a lot of the F1 in here.
You want to talk about some of the internal aesthetics? I'm enjoying the center console here. Basically, instead of having a shifter, you have buttons, which I typically don't like, but in this car, it kind of makes sense. So you basically have 3 buttons. You have one for driving, you have one for neutral, and you have one for reversing. And here you also have your emergency lights, which I find kind of funny, but, you know, McLaren. And blank switches, which aren't actually switches, but just pieces of plastic here. So,
yeah, I wonder what's missing in this. But
I think that you could get some options, but this is a pretty optioned out car, I thought.
Oh yeah, and also like we've got the drive, neutral, and reverse there, and then we have the parking brake over here. It's the electronic switch. Like you pull it forward to put on the brake and push it.
Which makes me sad because no handbrake turns.
That's true. That's true. And I believe this must be a rear-wheel drive car. So I mean, you can always lose the rear end.
Oh well, yeah.
And that's what you want to do in a McLaren.
If you want to really show off your initial D cred.
Yeah. And actually, let's talk about the other stuff here in the center console.
Yeah.
We have a straight button for launch control, so you know you always want to do launch control.
Sick noises.
And this car goes 0 to 60 in like 3.2 seconds approximately, which is pretty insane. And I mean, with launch control, you got to do that like every day.
Yeah.
And what else do we have
some
here?
Fancy buttons here. This is, what is this even for?
That one I think is drive mode, and one of these is suspension.
That's crazy.
And then you've got the ESC off, loose traction control.
Ooh.
You can put in manual, however, manual paddles, of course.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay, so you can drive in manual and automatic. However, I don't see why would you want to drive automatic. I guess someone who doesn't know how to drive manual, but if you, only if you know how to drive manual do you want a supercar.
Maybe you got to do errands for the wife and you don't want to have to worry about paddles.
Yeah.
One other thing that I noticed that's really like apparent for tall drivers like me is there's switches along here, which I think are presets for the seat. So you can have like one if you're like a tall guy and two for someone who's shorter. But then there's also this M key, which I'm not sure, I guess that's supposed to be like manual mode, but there's there's not. Oh, well, there's switches over here, which I'm not sure exactly what they're supposed to do because they're not really.
No, they probably adjust. No, I'm not sure actually.
I don't know. I haven't figured out how to fully adjust it, but they're really hidden down here, so you can't really see what you're aiming for. So it's basically just touch and go, which is kind of annoying. Unless you want to like try to reach down here and figure out what you're pressing. But those are the seat controls. There's like 4 or 5 buttons down here that you gotta figure out how to control, as well as a dial. So that'll be fun to figure out. Absolutely.
And also, of course, we have to address this. We're in the Spider, which means that's convertible. And so basically what's really cool about McLaren's is that it's 2 panels and they just kind of fold back and go in the back. Now, normally when you get a Spider, you expect it to be a lot heavier and it's not going to be that good around the track. But when the top is up, you actually have the complete structural rigidity of the 570S Coupe. And you're really only adding, I think, a little under 200 pounds, which is not that bad for a Spider. And of course, with the topless driving experience, that's priceless.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing that I like to point out is there's this badge down here that says like Surrey, England, so you can see where this car was built, which definitely ties back to McLaren's British heritage, which I really like.
And the badge always looks nice. I think they have that in every car, 720S, 12C.
They really don't try to overdo the badging as much as I thought they would. So unlike Ford, where they have like 27 badges only in the rear, this has a couple badges on the floor mat. You have one on the steering wheel, and from basically, there's not any other very obvious McLaren badges. It's pretty much just Alcantara and stitching and carbon fiber. That's basically all there really is.
Yeah, it's a track-focused car, but very
minimal. I'm a fan of that. Not going overly complex.
Yeah.
And normal window switches. I'm a fan of that. Yeah, they don't try to reinvent the wheel with everything.
Yeah, I'm really liking this car, and it's also got a really good Bowers & Wilkins sound system.
Oh my god, I love this.
Like, and we've got like speakers everywhere. We got them here on the A-pillars, we got the ones on the doors, we got the one in the center, and I believe there's back here behind the seats also. So it's and in such a small cabin, like that's, oh man, it's amazing. I can tell that for sure. Yeah. And I mean, I'm just looking at this car and there's always something new to talk about. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is honestly pretty high tech, but they didn't make it so high tech like the i8 where it's kind of just over the top tech for the sake of tech. They basically kept it to the minimums.
Absolutely. But is there anything else?
I think that's pretty much it. One only thing I want to make a minor complaint about is legroom, but I mean, I'm in a supercar. There's not much you can really expect in terms of legroom. So my knees are up here, but it's not very uncomfortable. It's not sitting in a back seat, but I think it'll be fine for long drives.
I mean, you're also really tall, which is not that common, so
yeah, definitely.
I mean, for me, like, I'm about 5'10". I can fit in here pretty comfortably. I mean, the wheel well does come out into like the footwell a bit, so it's a little uncomfortable from that perspective, but I mean, your left foot's going to be there and the right foot is going to be on the brake and the gas, so you do have a good amount of room if you aren't insanely tall.
In terms of headroom, I'm actually doing quite well. I feel like the top would clear me just fine, and in the crash, I'm not going to be impaling myself on this part as much. Yeah. But I guess for people who have longer legs like myself, you're gonna have a fun time trying to get in here.
Yeah. But oh boy, this is
other than that, this car is amazing. So
yeah.
Thanks again to McLaren. This is awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. guys, please like this video and hit the subscribe. We have a lot more exciting videos coming up and you don't want to miss them. Thank you for watching.